Good morning, everybody. It's Abhinandan here again. So today is a special day for me. It's my second son's birthday. Because I'm away from family, I thought I'll do something productive. I'll do something productive and create some content. So yeah, as you can see, this is my beautiful Linux desktop, Ubuntu operating system, and here I have PowerPoint slides ready. Yeah, without any delay, let's open it. Yes, so today I'll be talking about quality assurance and testing trends. So before even I start talking about it, am I even qualified to talk about it? Let's see. Who am I? I am a seasoned software professional with 17 years experience, and I was fortunate enough to work in software development, testing, and research. So that's why I call it as well-rounded experience, because I had an opportunity to work with work in development, testing, as well as research. And I'm aware of latest technologies including cloud, data science, AI, ML, Internet of Things, and blockchain. Few of the things like about blockchain, I have just conceptual knowledge. I might not have implemented anything, but that information is good enough to present the today's content. So, let's start. So, what I'll be talking about? I'll be talking about testing trends. Basically, I'll be focusing my energy on artificial intelligence for automation and QA automation, agile and DevOps. Basically, QA automation, agile and DevOps go hand in hand. So essentially, 2 and 3 are not very different, right? These 2 and 3 are interrelated. We will also talk about security when it comes to testing. We will also talk about performance engineering with respect to testing, and then we'll touch upon Internet of Things and big data, what they are with respect to testing, and blockchain in testing. So these are the 7 core topics which I'll be touching. So my content is basically based on Fort Group's research blog. So this work is not a first-hand research. Basically, like in this presentation, I am a consumer of blog content already prepared by a person with name Okasana Mikalchuk. Basically, she has already drafted her experience in the content of a blog, in the form of a blog, which I'll be using. Of course, so these topics are which we encounter every day in testing, but so this is a basic reference for today's PowerPoint slide. And if you want to know more about what Fort Group is, they are based out of Chicago, Illinois. This is their postal address, and you can get all the details about Fort Group. So now let's come back to this. So this reference for this PowerPoint slide is basically the content that is there in the blog. But these are the generic trends across industry. So let's go back and see what we want to talk about, right? What is artificial intelligence for testing, basically? So as you know, all the enterprise applications these days are generating huge amount of data, and they also utilize or consume huge amount of data, right? So and testing is not something something very different from it. It is also making use of lot of historical data. Like if you maintain test execution and test coverage and many other things historically, you can come up with beautiful trends. The essential thing for ML, which is part of AI, is if you have a rich data, you can come up with many patterns from the test data. So that is the essential idea behind it. So like you can use AI algorithms to identify and prioritize the test cases. Like you can identify which test cases are critical for test execution, which are good to prioritize, right? Like if your test suite is very huge, you may not want to execute all the test cases in one shot. Basically, you may not have resources in the form of manpower and time at your disposal. So you will have to prioritize the test cases. Basically, you will be executing a subset of the test cases in a given time. So like basically it involves identifying the test cases and prioritizing the test cases. So this is the area which I have already touched in my book. So this is a book by name Regression Testing in Era of Internet of Things and Machine Learning. So this is basically 222-page book which documents my research findings, and it's available on multiple platforms. So the core heart of it when we talk about application of machine learning to testing is this table, right? Like I'm taking tester's experience, lines of code traced by a test case, and lines of code in product traced by the test case, test execution time, and like weightage of a bug that we will be assigning to a particular test case. So I came up with a formula which goes something like this. So here what it tells is, if a given test case executes more number of product code lines with least number of lines in the test case in a least time with highest bug weightage, then it's the best test case. So it's quite logical. Like always, like the number of lines of code in the test case should be less, but its effectiveness should be more, right? When we say effectiveness, the lines of code that the given test case traces in product should be high, and then the test execution should not take a lot of time for executing. An efficient test case is one with lesser number of lines, lesser execution time, with high product code trace. So that is the idea. And then what I did is like I used a clustering algorithm on these parameters. So basically, so clustering parameters, what I have taken is tester's experience, lines of code traced by the test case, lines of code in the test case, line of code traced in the product, and execution time, and weightage for a bug. So upon these 5 parameters I have clustered using Weka. Like Weka is like instead of Weka it could have been anything else. Like I have used Weka and I got a very good result. Like I could come up with 4 clusters, and yeah, alluvial diagrams I'll show you. So yeah, these are the alluvial diagrams for EM algorithm. Weka could cluster the test cases efficiently, and I manually cross-verified the clusters. The clusters were meaningful. So yeah, like what I wanted to talk in essence is basically like when you have historical test execution data at your disposal, many ML algorithm application becomes possible. Now, so here in essence, we are talking the same thing. And then next is optimize the test cases by detecting redundancy. So what we are doing here is like we are trying to find if there are any duplicate test cases. So like you can iterate over all the test cases at your disposal, and you can classify the test cases as duplicates either by doing a shallow comparison or deep comparison. So shallow comparison is like just doing some NLP on the basis of test case purpose, basically for what purpose the test cases are written. Or you could do deep checking by going through the test cases themselves and then classifying the test cases as duplicate test cases. And next thing is optimal test coverage by analyzing keywords from requirement traceability matrix. So any given test project will have requirement traceability matrix, and like it will have critical keywords which you should be looking for. So, and then those keywords you can compare with keywords in the test case. If there is a match, yeah, like then we are like kind of marching towards our goal, and like we can say like we are meeting the requirement traceability matrix requirement. So this NLP comparison, using comparison of or like basically tallying the given test case against requirement traceability matrix with the help of NLP is also possible. And then you, if you have historical data, like you can forecast, right? You can forecast like trends, like defect trends, etc., using ML enabled predictive analytics. So like let's say you have a historical defect trend, you can extrapolate the defect trend and you can come up with a like quantitative number which will tell how many defects will be there in future releases. Next is QA automation. Like as you know, everybody is adopting agile these days, so QA automation becomes very important. Continuous delivery is not possible without automation. Basically I have heard, but for this there is no concrete evidence or proof. Like I have heard PayPal releases multiple products in a given day, meaning like multiple deliveries they do in a given day. So yeah, like when you do continuous delivery or multiple deliveries if you are doing in a given day, that also means like those many regression testings or complete testings on that product. So like that continuous testing is not possible without automation. So that is the essence. And then with agile approach, like defects, bugs are detected faster. So test automation makes QA more efficient. So agile's basic principle is fail early, fail fast, right? Fail early, fail fast. And so basically like you execute the test cases, and like if the test cases are failing, either the failure is because of the test case or because of the product. So if you are failing often, so and failing early, you can catch the bugs earlier. And QA automation empowers QA engineers to achieve the desired test frequency, meaning like it goes back to what we were discussing just a few seconds back. Basically, like if PayPal is doing, let's say, 4 deliveries in a given day, it also means 4 test automation executions in the same given day. So like this helps in continuous testing, which is essential for continuous delivery. And then comes DevOps. Like automation and DevOps, like both are interrelated. DevOps is basically it's like a methodology which erases boundary between testing, development, and operations. Historically, development and operations have been 2 separate entities, but in DevOps, like you try to combine both of them. And like so development and operations, so this DevOps is derived from development and operations. Now testing also comes into picture. So some people say dev test ops, some people say DevSec test ops, basically where they are trying to combine development, security, testing, and operations. So essentially like the boundary between development and operation becomes blurred. And then QA Ops practices and strengthen the communication bonds between development and software testing teams. So basically, the development and testing teams will not be in silos, like they will not be working as 2 independent entities. So every like whenever a build fires, test suite fires, and then deployment fires, and then things like that. So all things are streamlined. So this DevOps has resulted in growing popularity of software testing automation. So as you see, whenever the build gets fired, like whenever at the end of the day or like at a given interval of time, developers commit their code, build fires. Whenever build fires, test suite should fire. When the test suite execution is complete, deployment should take place. So this very philosophy or like this approach has resulted in a growing popularity of testing automation. Next comes security, right? Like technology is moving at a breakneck speed. The amount of information that is there keeps growing. Like when the amount of information that is in the custody of a given enterprise is large, it also comes up with security issues. So security becomes top priority. Like you don't want your data, critical data, or important data in non-secured hands. As simple as that. So then here, next bullet talks about like study conducted by blah 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 by BitSight showed 82% of the stakeholders agreed that the way their customers and partners pursue security is increasingly important. Essentially, 82% of the respondents said yes, our data should be in safe hand. And then next is penetration testing saves pretty penny. Data breaches progressively aggravate the already vulnerable positions enterprises find themselves amid the 2020 pandemic. Like in India, a leading bank, right, will not take the name of the bank, it threw open its critical information like credit card information, debit card information, etc. to the gray internet people. So already the enterprises are in trouble, and if they commit such a blunder, people wouldn't want to be associated with such banks. It's as simple as that. So this is one example where it shows how important it is to safeguard the data which is there in your custody. Custody meaning like bank's custody in the case that we spoke about. And so security testing is basically, it tells businesses weak spots. What here is they are talking about is as you know, black hat hackers, gray hat hackers, and white hat hackers, right? So these white hat hackers and gray hat hackers have the perspective of black hat hackers and try to find the loopholes in their own system before they are exploited by the black hat hackers. Meaning you have to have a perspective of criminals, think like a criminal, and then safeguard your enterprise safety by behaving like a black hat criminals. And then cyber security testing ensures that if downtime occurs, we have a contingency measure, instead of going completely down, when you perform cyber security, you are prepared to handle the eventuality just in case it happens. So security testing also helps to identify areas susceptible to cyber threats. So you find out well in advance what are the cyber threats and what should be done for them. So in a sense, whatever these 6 bullets we spoke about, here we want to have the perspective of a criminal, act like a criminal, and well in advance find the loopholes and plug them. It is as simple as that. Next comes performance engineering. We are all very aware, if we talk about Facebook, let's say out of 7 billion population, 2 billion people are Facebook subscribers, right? So you can imagine the tremendous the demand that we are putting on Facebook. So at any given point of time, out of 2 billion, let's say 1 billion are active. So 1 billion users will be making use of given Facebook app at a given time. Next example is Amazon. Like in Amazon, you name it, every alternate person is Amazon customer. Of course, this sentence is not having any data to back it up, but yeah, major number of e-commerce purchasers are Amazon and Flipkart subscribers. So at the peak load, the app or the application should perform with the least latency, and it should be very responsive. That's what we want to say here. So basically, performance engineering involves evaluating such use cases, and speed, scalability, and stability of the application we evaluate under performance engineering. So done right, performance engineering allows developers and QA engineers to build in required performance metrics for the first design. So in essence, what we told is, at the peak load, the latency and the response time of the application should be well within the given key performance indicators, within given boundary range, meaning the application should not behave erratically, or it should not say I can't take this much load. So another example is this e-commerce websites during Christmas, right? Peak load. Everybody wants to purchase, and during Christmas you don't want your e-commerce site to go down, right? So it is as simple as that. Next is IoT and big data. Ideally we shouldn't have combined them, but yeah, wherever IoT is there, big data comes in, and big data can exist outside IoT also. I think you are getting what I'm saying. So when you deploy a lot of devices in the field, each one of them will be collecting a lot of information. So that information collected over a period of time becomes a big data. So next is, what are the challenges of IoT? All these devices need not be on same hardware, they need not have a same platform. The protocols they use for communicating with internet may be different, and then the operating systems themselves on these devices may be very different. So IoT, it comes up with a challenge where you have heterogeneous meaning different devices, different platforms, different protocols, different operating system, etc. And that's where the QA comes in. When the product is certified as IoT product or whatever, you need to ensure you have taken these many use cases into consideration. And then, as I was telling, all these field devices will be generating huge amount of data, which is big data. Big data definition is a data which cannot be easily stored on a given computer or given small cluster. When you are when you encounter a situation where your data is not is not small enough to fit in a given computer or a small cluster, that data is big data. Typical example is again e-commerce giants data which they gather, or it could be the data which search engines like Google, etc. will be collecting. Huge number of people will be buying goods on e-commerce. Huge number of people will be doing search. So all that information, etc. if you want to store, the stored information will be big data. And then another thing that makes big data testing an increasingly common practice is the fact that data is the new king for building marketing strategies. So we all know, e-commerce companies like Amazon, etc. they collect a lot of information about buying preferences, and then what customers are buying, if it is a Prime Video, like what kind of video they are watching, which they will use subsequently for making recommendation, etc. So that how that making recommendation is basically coming up with studying the existing pattern and then recommending. So this data is a new generation cache, or data is a new generation king, which helps building companies building marketing strategies. Next thing that I want to touch upon is blockchain testing. So yeah, when it comes to blockchain, the thing that comes to our mind is either Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that, a cryptocurrency. But blockchain is not just that; it is more than that. Like even automotive service provider, etc., are making use of. The core concept remains the same, like a distributed ledger, peer-to-peer network. Data generation at a given node and then replicating it on all the peer nodes and then ensuring integrity of it. So that's the basic concept which remains same. So what are the challenges that the test team face when using blockchain? Basically, it is for every transaction we have to do validation, meaning the information that we are generating at a given node should be valid one, and then we have to encrypt it, send it over the network transmission, and then when it is decrypted at the receiver nodes, right, the data integrity should be intact. So these four things, validation, encryption, transmission, and decryption, throw open lot of opportunities for testers. Yeah, what was the reference for this presentation? Again, this Fort Group's link, you can easily search in Google by doing Fort Group and latest innovation trends in software testing technologies, and you will get the information required. So yeah, thank you. I think I have taken half an hour of your time. 27 minutes of your time. Thanks for patiently listening, and if you have any doubts, shoot a mail to me. Thank you.